guys, my name is Mona. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how you can elevate your swimwear photography. A little bit of background about me. I specialize in portraiture photography, and in that little subset I also do swim. I love swim. I feel like it's its own beautiful genre that's kind of like portraiture but also different because you're also selling swimsuits, someone's body, and it's a lot more sensual and just intimate almost. And a lot more fun to me. Like, I feel like I have more creativity with swimwear than I do with traditional portraits, in a sense. The first tip that I can give you guys, and probably the most important and biggest tips, is to chase the sun. And that means be meticulous about the time of day that you're shooting. The sun is your absolute best friend with swimwear photography. Yes, you can use external light like strobe lights and continuous light, but there's nothing that will beat the sun with swim photography. So you need to be very specific about the times of day that you shoot. The one rule I can tell you guys, never shoot at high noon. Never, 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 never. I would always aim for a golden hour, depending on the season that you're shooting in and where in the world that you're shooting. That would typically be around 5 p.m. and after, up until, like, in the summer you could probably get away with a little later, but let's say 5 p.m. onward for that nice golden hour. And the reason why people really chase golden hour is because the sun is a lot less harsh. During the middle of the day, high noon, the position of the sun is right here. Let's say if I'm using this external light and I put it right here, you're going to see all these. Actually, let me do a little demonstration for you guys. We're going to do a fun little demonstration. So imagine that this light right here is the sun. Let's say you're shooting at noon. This position of the sun is literally right here. So look, I have this here looking straight ahead. You can see there's shadows on my face. It's not flattering. It kind of emphasizes, not now because my makeup just looks good, but if I'm looking straight at you, one, I look blown out because the sun is very powerful at high noon. Two, you can see the shadows on my face. It's overall not flattering on the face, and especially on your body, it's not going to be flattering at all. Let's say if I'm shooting golden hour, the sun is more at an angle, so it's more here. This is a lot more flattering. You're not shooting at high noon, but you want to shoot it like maybe, let's say 10:30. The sun is going to be here. So this isn't awful at all, but it's not the most flattering. So this is all right. We can work with this with flash and like kind of working to overpower the sun, but here it's pretty much not a lost cause, but it's going to be very difficult. So why make life harder for yourself? Versus golden hour, you have that beautiful lighting. In golden hour, the sun is the most flattering, and then also the temperature of the sun is different. The early morning, you're going to get a more cool toned sun. Even though the sun is coming out, it's not going to be that orange hue. It's going to be more cool toned, a little bit more on the yellowy side, but like really light yellow. During the middle of the day, you're going to have the most neutral lighting, so it's not going to be too warm or too cool. And then as you approach that golden hour, that's when you get that really nice warm lighting, and then right before the sun sets, you're going to have that fiery orange lighting. So the temperature that you want will really just depend on your personal style, and that shouldn't be too much of a concern because in editing you can color grade and bring back or remove colors, so you shouldn't focus too much on the actual temperature of the light because that's fixable, but the actual direction of the light you can't modify in post. So make sure that you're really meticulous about that. Another thing about swimwear photography is that you want to also emphasize and prioritize your environment. With certain other types of portrait work, the subject is really mainly the focus, so you don't really have to worry about, you want a nice background, but it's not as much a part of your story. But in swimwear photography, I feel like it's the model, but it's also the surroundings too that really elevate it. So let's say if I'm taking a picture of a model and she's just against a white wall outside in her swimsuit. It'll be a nice picture. She'll probably look pretty, like the lighting will be nice. But if I were to put her in front of a rock with a wave coming out, that's going to be a lot more dynamic and intriguing than a plain background. So make sure that you really are scouting out a good location that's going to be dynamic and then also help you tell that story that you're trying to get across. Another important part of swim photography, I would say, is to really hone in on your model's poses. Depending on who you're working with, you might be working with an experienced model who already knows how to pose, or you might be working with someone who's more new or they're not as comfortable in front of the camera. I would say in either one of these scenarios, you should always have a pitch deck on board with different poses that you want to execute. And from there, then you can have the model modify it and then kind of make it your own. But always come prepared with poses, because with swimwear, it's very body heavy and you want to portray someone's body in a more graceful way. You don't want to have poses that are too awkward or that look too overt, like overtly sexual or anything. You just want it to look natural, graceful, sensual, and intriguing you. So you will have to be very meticulous about the types of poses that you plan. And I think my last word of advice would be gear. I would say for portrait, or not for portrait, for swim photography, I would lean towards lenses with a higher focal length. So I would lean probably 85 and up. Because while I said the environment is important, I feel like if you use a 35 or like a 50, it's going to be, you still want your model to pop in a way. So the model is the central figure of your story, but the environment is still important. So in order to get that kind of separation, you do want that nice bokeh, not too blurry. I mean, it all depends on your style. I would suggest when starting out, that nice kind of separation of foreground and background is important with swim photography. So here I have this is what I've used for a lot of my swimwear. I have my 85 1.8, and of course my light died. So here I have my 85 1.8. When I was first starting out with swim, I loved this. And then now I use my 24 to 70 because I like how I can kind of switch back and forth between wide shots and then closer, tight, intimate shots. If you guys don't want to do the super tight shots, I would recommend, let's say, using a 24 to 70 and then zooming all the way out to 24 and then getting an angle down from below. That could really elongate your model, make her legs look longer. It can make for a more dynamic photo, just kind of overall, just kind of cinch her body in. Basically, my biggest tips for swimwear photography. It's a really fun genre, I would say. Oh, nope, I'm lying. The last tip I have for you guys is to utilize water and movement. Now, I think some of my best swimwear pictures have been where there's this one photo I'm thinking of in particular. I think it was probably my first swimwear shoot, actually. I had my model like at the edge of the, what do they call it, tide? Whatever that thing is, like where the water is at the beach. And luckily we were able to catch a big wave, and the wave kind of hit against her body and kind of had this huge, like, you know that, the scene in The Little Mermaid where she gets on that rock and she goes like this and the water's just kind of like bursting out from her, kind of going for that kind of mood. And I was able to kind of capture it a little bit with this picture right here. So I think that using water or just anything around you, I think water would make the most sense, being that you're shooting swimwear photography. Utilizing a lot of movement can kind of make for a more dynamic picture, make it more fun and more out of the box. And then last thing I would suggest is to not be too caught up in your pictures looking too pretty with swimwear. You want to capture the essence of fun, of livelihood. In this picture right here, I was really trying to capture a lot of movement of the model in the shot. I wanted it to be more fun, off the cusp, and not too perfect. And I feel like that makes for really good swimwear photography. You do want that nice, more editorial looks where they're posing, but then also I think it's fun to kind of go out of the box and not be scared to have fun with it and to make it look more effortless and not too forced and too posed all the time. So pretty much all my tips. I would love to connect with you guys on social. My Instagram will be right here. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.